Show. I'm your host, Gary Moore, and with me today is...
Well, I'm wondering, what should I call myself? Should I use my real name or should I use Tony Jr.? Because that's what I use on YouTube. That's where this is going to be.
Let's go with Tony Jr. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see. We're here and we're talking about Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
We both saw it.
Yeah.
And we both liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
You know, what premiere, we both kind of chit-chatted a little bit about it, but so.
Yeah, but this is us, just two characters. But we're fanboys.
Oh, yeah.
I think fanboys, someone else said nerds. No, we're fanboys. We're fans of the movie.
Yeah.
And everyone's a fan of something.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's a fan of something.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed the movie. Right when it first started, I thought it was kind of going in four or five different directions. I kind of felt like they could have been tightened up a little bit. But once I guess it would hit about the 20-minute mark, or it wasn't even that long, it was like 10 minutes maybe. Once they kind of got everything set up, I was really into the movie. I don't think we need to see the origin story of Batman anymore. I think that's done. Yeah. But otherwise, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed that immensely. Seeing Batman do it, kicking ass like Batman does.
Yeah. Now the thing for me is that you can't say Dawn of Justice leading into Justice League without mentioning the Avengers, because Zack Snyder, he has to create several different stories. This is a Batman movie and a Superman movie and a Wonder Woman movie, and each one has to kind of balance it out. It has to make room for everybody. And doing that, this movie is a lot more grim than Man of Steel was.
Definitely.
And Wonder Woman, even though it's hinting at what's going to happen with her, and she's a lot more upbeat than Batman is. But even then, that grimness is still there. There's still danger and so forth. And Zack Snyder had to balance this out. Zack Snyder, I'm a fan of his.
Right.
Love the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah.
Everyone loves 300.
Oh yeah.
But doing that, his movies are never cotton candy and rainbows and super happy. So he has to do that. He can't be any other way.
Right. I mean, he's a visual director, and I mean, even Watchmen, is an underrated movie to me. Because I mean, I thought they did a good job adapting the comic book, because I read the comic book before anything.
Yeah. And
he did a good enough. I mean, they changed a few things here and there, but otherwise, it was a visual representation of that comic book.
Right.
I mean, instead of the big vagina monster at the end of the movie, like it was
a
comic, they kind of played with the fact that it would be Dr. Manhattan, which is, to me, more appropriate.
Yeah. And that's something else I think played into it. See, Watchmen was so dense. It's an amazing story, but it was so dense. And you have to put all that information into one movie. It might have taken 2 or 3 movies. It might have taken a Lord of the Rings style effort. 3 big giant movies.
And they didn't do that. They did it one
shot.
And they got a director's cut, which is more faithful to the book, but it's like 3 hours long. It's pretty long.
Yeah. And one reason Lord of the Rings will always own is because each movie's about 3 hours. Director's cut about 4 hours.
Right.
And all that detail, that's why it works.
Oh yeah.
And Dawn of Justice, same conundrum. All that information, all that story, telling it perfectly right, getting it all in there would take a lot of work. So
I would imagine the cutting and editing of that movie was really hard on the editors, because they had to take Superman's story, Batman's story, Lex Luthor's story, all the main characters, Lois Lane, and then all of them had to have time to make it worthwhile. I mean, and it's hard to do that in a 2.5-hour movie. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already released a deleted scene that was cut from the movie, and probably going to be on the director's cut.
It's going to be R-rated. So, and if this is the PG-13, what's that R-rated cut going to be? I mean, is Lois Lane going to stand up out of the bathtub this time?
Really? Kind of. Yeah, it was kind of.
That was that was almost what, Deadpool?
Yeah, literally. I mean, I can't imagine them doing an R-rated version of that movie because I mean, aside from blood, when people got shot, it wasn't really. I mean, it wasn't. It was a PG movie.
Yeah, PG-13. No, Lois almost in the bathtub.
Yeah,
no real blood. Yeah, violence was comic booky, not too extreme.
Yeah, I mean, the most violent I saw it get was Batman attacking the warehouse.
Yeah.
And you saw that in the trailer.
Yeah.
Most of it anyway.
Yeah.
And that was
Best scene.
Oh, that made the price of admission worth every cent.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh.
Yeah, that easily Batman Superman fight. That was my favorite scene.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
They have guns. Knock the guns away. He got to use his wits, use his muscles.
Mm-hmm.
He's not perfect. One guy punches him in the face.
Yeah.
When they come up with their knives, they hit. You see the sparks. Yeah, that's the armor. But one knife gets through.
Right.
But the reality, the physics. Now you can't really see the stunt doubles, but that's really Affleck throwing himself around with a cape, which is very difficult. That they need more of that.
Oh yeah, definitely, and the stuff like him taking that one guy and picking him up with one hand, and slamming him around, and kicking that one guy into a wall. I mean, that's granted, that's special effects all in there, but it was so good you didn't care.
Yeah, some people are probably saying maybe Zack Snyder should have made a Batman movie. Forget Superman altogether because maybe his style was better suited to that.
Oh, I can agree with that. Yeah. I can agree with that. I mean. A lot of people complain about the Man of Steel not being bright and shiny. I mean, Superman is supposed to be a day character, who's bright and he's optimistic, and a lot of people complain about Man of Steel being kind of dark and drear, but it didn't bother me enough to ruin the movie for me. But I mean, I could see their complaint, but it wasn't my complaint.
Yeah, I think that another thing that Dawn of Justice does is something we've never really seen before. It would have been interesting to play it out more. Is after Man of Steel, Superman wrecked the city. Mm-hmm. It wasn't entirely his fault. Right. However, he is partly accountable. And being called out for that, loss of life, the destruction, billions, maybe trillions of dollars in damage, all the people that got killed, and he's not, you have to be held accountable. It's like even there are soldiers, police officers, individuals, collateral damage. Mm-hmm. In Iron Man, they're saying it was progress in movies.
Right.
Yeah, collateral damage.
Right.
Transformers, smashing stuff.
Well, Tony Stark said, I think in Age of Ultron, has the Stark fundraiser began taking care. It's kind of like the FEMA, but it's Tony Stark's people.
Hopefully they're sooner than the FEMA Hurricane Katrina.
And they took it to an extra level by saying we need to rescue all these people in Age of Ultron off that piece of ground that was coming up.
Yeah, the Slovakia, I think. Yeah, collateral damage. That's something that they called out. That's interesting. We know we didn't. We grew up watching Superman 2, and Superman wrecks the city. All the people. Yeah, you have to call that out. This is a new world. This is more postmodern. Right. You got to take these factors into account, which is eminently watchable, interesting on screen, and naturally not to give too many spoilers, but it would be interesting to see how that's played out. And even then, they hint at it. People are like, I was here, I was there, this happened, that happened. So
right. Well, I mean, you could definitely see the difference. Like, Superman 2 was made, obviously, before 9/11.
You're right.
And Man of Steel was made after 9/11.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And you could see the difference. Mm-hmm. In Superman 2, when he's fighting Zod, he says, "No, the people," and they don't have a fight that embraces the entire city that covers it, and the people building and falling down. Yeah. But you can't do that nowadays. You have to show that when these two titans hit each other, there is a shockwave. There is collateral damage, like you said. You have to show that nowadays. Otherwise, people will be like, it's too contained. It's too
safe and neat. Yeah.
People would be bitching about it being too clean. And stuff. Like the Doomsday fight in the comics knocked out an entire building.
Right.
And they showed that with the fight that's in the new movie. And yes, granted, it's not really a spoiler because they showed it in the second trailer. Doomsday does make an appearance, and he is hard to destroy.
Yeah.
And so it does have a Superman Doomsday fight throughout it, and it does destroy buildings. I don't think it destroyed it nearly as much in like Man of Steel. Man of Steel, they went all out. They went all out for the destruction. In Batman vs Superman, they kind of
they knew that was going to be a factor, so naturally he manages to get him out to someplace secluded. So now let's tear up the whatever.
He learned from his lesson. He went, let's go out of the city. Let's take him out into space. And let's get him away from populated areas.
Right.
He learned that lesson through Man of Steel. Right. That kind of showcased the people bitching about the destruction in that movie. So it kind of played off the setting for this movie.
Right.
I liked it. I thought it was a good movie.
Is it a masterstroke, a landmark of American cinema? No. Is it a good movie? Yes.
There are some flaws. There are some plot holes, which I'm one of these people that I'll wait for the director's cut to come out and be like, oh, okay, that's what they meant. Right. Because Lex Luthor said he's coming. Well, it could be Darkseid, it could be Brainiac, it could be
Mixius Pitlick.
And yeah. Although I'm voting for Darkseid because of the Omega, the nightmare that Batman has. Right. You see Darkseid's minions flying with those bugs.
Yeah, that was, some people like, what in the world is that? I was like, I'm like, this is a dream. It's a nightmare. But that's creepy. That's impressive. I'm like, what is this? And Batman gets a gun. Oh, this is a dream. It's a nightmare. What in the world is that? Oh, wake up now. This is
I thought the dream and the Flash coming back and saying, don't do it.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. Yeah.
That's probably going to be a scene that we're going to see in the Justice League movies. We're going to see Flash break the time barrier and come back and say something to Batman. Because that was in Crisis of Infinite Earths.
I never read that one. No Dark Knight Returns. I never read that one.
Oh yeah. See, I'm a comic book reader.
Yeah, I read what I can get to. I read a lot of stuff, but not everything. Yeah.
I'm not judging by any means. If you're more not into comics, fine. But I've read the comics and I kind of know where they want to go with it.
All right.
Now, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, it's in the comics. I'm not one of these people that are militant about how different the comic book is to the comic, or the comic book is to the movie or whatnot. But, I can see where they're going with it. I can see what they plan on doing with it. Because, if I was really, adamant about how different it is from the comic, I'd be bitching every week about Walking Dead. Because it's different. There's changes, and they have to do that to make it interesting, to make it watchable. If it was a direct adaptation of the Death of Superman, then
Lord of the Rings 3 movies forever.
We would be bored. It would be boring, as we would sit there and be in tears of boredom because we've read books, we've seen movies. Yeah.
You mentioned plot holes. Yeah. One thing. Yeah. At the end of Man of Steel, Superman slams a satellite and says, "You've been trying to figure out where to hang up my cape. Cover your tracks." Now, you mentioned plot holes. Yeah. One thing. After Man of Steel, Superman is forced to kill Zod. Why didn't he get rid of the body? Because just because you're dead doesn't mean you stop being useful. At which point, Luthor is able to get Zod's body and experiment on him. Now, Superman should have picked up the body and flown to the moon, because no one's really going out there anytime soon.
Or throwing it into the sun.
Yeah, that might
for
have
that for that man.
Yeah.
Throw his ass. Of course, if he had thrown Zod into the sun, he could have brought him back to life.
Yeah, well, that's not an idea. Or just flew into the moon where no one can get to. And
Right.
then the alien ship. That was a kicker for me. After, in the first movie, Zod's about to fly the ship. Superman causes it to crash. Now, I figure it's Kryptonian. Like a white dwarf on Earth, the mass is so immense, it can't be moved. Only person who could move was Superman himself. He should have picked it up, flew it off, like the Fortress of Solitude. Flew it off, flew it someplace they can't get to it. That way, no experimentation, no hanky-panky, no one would mess up, and then this movie would kind of be over.
Right. Well, I mean, I would assume that the governments of the like America, it happened in America, so America would like.
Request.
I would think that America troops came in and said, "We want this," and Superman was kind of like, "I gotta stay away from all this. I gotta hide." Because, I mean, he went made a point of becoming Clark Kent, and he went into hiding. So, I mean...
They should have picked up, flew off with it.
He could have. I mean, granted, that is a consideration, but then it wouldn't have this movie.
Yeah,
Or any
but even then, I was kind of thinking, what happened afterwards? Now we know. Well, I would hope to not be so careless. Cover your tracks.
Right.
Because even Batman doesn't necessarily get exposed. You got to cover your tracks.
I have to talk about Batman a little bit because I'm a huge Batman fan.
Yeah. Who isn't?
Yeah, but quite honestly, I was wanting to see Batfleck, and
Batfleck.
That's first scene of him where you don't really see him, but you see the shadow of him on the wall, and he attacks that police officer and
stylish and clever, yeah.
Right, and I was kind of like, that's perfect because he's hitting the shadows. That voice manipulator that they were working
Now
on.
that once again, I would what do we want to call it, a Nolanism, because when Michael Keaton did it, he was just talking. When Val Kilmer, just talking. Clooney, just talking. Bale, voice modulator.
They changed a little bit of, but I mean, Kristen Bell did the, and you couldn't understand half of what he said. I'm Batman.
Yeah.
And people bitched about it. And there's another example of people bitching, so we fixed it. Or, we thought we fixed it. The voice manipulated thing was something that Kevin Smith threw out, like, when he first announced the movie. He's like, Batman's all about fucking with your mind. So let's mess with people. Let's see what happens when he has the thing that could throw his voice over there or over here and, confuse people. And he's right there,
Yeah, even then, I understood what he's saying. When even going back to Ivan Drago and Yoda, who don't speak so clearly, when they don't speak so clearly, it kind of forces you to pay more attention, which is very effective.
True.
And even then, it's a great move to cover your tracks, because when you first see Bale as Batman, you really don't know who he is, and you can't pick up his voice. No, like even Spider-Man, I can hear your voice. Yeah. Batman, you don't know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the Christopher Nolan movies.
Right.
The first and second one are brilliant. Rises kind of missed a mark for me, but it was going to be hard to live up to Dark Knight. That was just going to be hard to live up to. So it just kind of missed for me. But I really liked the way they handled Batman in this movie. Yeah. It was great to see like an authentic, the fat bat, and the cow was very authentic.
More Frank Miller-ish.
Very Frank Miller-ish.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in comic books, he wears a gray and black. He doesn't wear. Well, I mean, he used to wear blue and gray.
Yeah, the cowl, not armor.
Yeah, the cowl was a flexible material that he can move his neck and stuff like that. So I mean, it was really cool to see them bring the comic book Batman into the cinema Batman. Something
they did. I think they did just right, but But at one point we see Bruce Wayne wake up with some supermodel. Just wow! I mean, can we see their pretty face that goes with that nice form? That's a Bruce Wayne thing.
That is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, girl, who is that? from the silhouette.
Yeah, really.
Who is that?
Well, you know, girl, maybe some model.
Yeah, some model. He drives a car. They say it was an Aston Martin, Zack Snyder's car. Nice car.
Very nice car.
Now, here's one. You might say, no. Here's one thing I got to call it. I think Christian Bale was a sharper dressed Bruce Wayne though. Affleck was nice. I think Chris Bale was sharper. I'm like,
he filled out a tuxedo better. I always saw that.
Yeah, the tuxedo was better. Tuxedo was on point.
But Ben Affleck built like 20 pounds of pure muscle.
Christian Bale's about 6'1", and Affleck's 6'4".
Yeah.
So, and Zack Snyder said when he put on the armor suit, made about 6'6". But I felt that this nitpick. This is a complaint, but I felt Bale was sharper dressed.
Well,
sharper dressed. Sharper.
He's also kind of used to wearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a disguise though.
He's kind of a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy, and it kind of came off as that, and I can relate because I'm that way.
Yeah, for me, watching that, I'm like, there was a point when I didn't care about clothes, but nothing. As my palette has changed, when I see a character on screen, I don't. The woman has to be stylish. The guy has to be equally stylish. I mean, you saw Spectre?
Yeah, actually, no, I haven't.
Daniel Craig, I mean, his clothes got sharper and sharper. Brown suit, you think it awesome, wonderful shirt, regular clothes, the tuxedo, the suits. Every suit, Daniel Craig is tailor-made, and it looks great. And Léa Seydoux, she's the Bond girl. She's French. There's nothing she doesn't look good in. They're dressed to thrill. So
I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. It's on my radar to get to, but I just haven't.
Spectre, I liked it. Not everyone liked it, but for me, Spectre, you got to dress to thrill. And Bruce Wayne, in many ways, James Bond is inspired by Bruce Wayne. The tuxedos, the well-dressed, the globetrotting. But for me, when you dress to thrill, you got to own start to finish. Even when you're not so sharp, you gotta look great. That's
probably something that they just went with.
Yeah.
You know.
Even Diana Prince, because Wonder Woman, she looked nice all the time.
Let's talk about Gal Gadot.
Okay. Yes.
When she was cast, people were talking about how skinny she is and how she wasn't Wonder Woman and she wasn't pusty.
Linda Carter.
Fuck all that. when that came out, when they cast her, I was kind of like, well, not my first choice, but I kind of do that with a lot of movies. But I didn't have a problem with her. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of like, well, okay, let's see what she does. You know. And she stole the movie.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that we should want to see more. The Wonder Woman movies in the works. Justice League's coming out. We're going to see more. Oh, yeah. But even then, she kind of stole every scene she was in. Not intentionally, just less is more. Yeah. She didn't talk too much. She wasn't too butch. She just used the woman. She played everything just right. She and Affleck had great tension, great chemistry, which was very good. There's no real flirt. There's that talk, whisper to her ear, but no real. They didn't go overboard with it, and that worked fine.
Yeah,
that worked fine.
It was one of those things that like when she came out and she was in her Wonder Woman gear,
right,
and she was using her wristband,
right, yeah, that
the
crowd went wild. The audience went,
whoa. And then there were a few times she got thrown up against the wall, and she was kind of like she gave that smile, like I'm enjoying this way too much. I was like, oh God, I came unassisted. I was just really into it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, not my first choice because I grew up with Linda Carter. Yeah, Linda Carter is about 6 feet tall, and Gal Gadot's 5'10". And here she's not in the Star Spangled Stripes, but she's more of the Amazonian warrior, which is very cool, very clever. So it all worked. Once again, Zack Snyder, he got that right. He got it right. Right actress, right execution, right keel.
Yeah,
Wonder Woman. I don't see any flaws.
I really enjoyed her as Wonder Woman and seeing her in the movie. And then they showed that picture from
or the past, yeah,
from the
19
past,
something.
and the
Chris Pine
Chris Pine is
in
sitting
the
next to
front,
her. So I mean, there's continuity already being formed,
yeah. Right.
and I was kind of like, awesome, let's do it. You know.
Hopefully, yeah, they don't really. They don't mention the mascara or the print, but just that'll work when they do the solo movie. That'll should all be in there. Hopefully, she'll be still on point, and we'll see something.
I don't think it's going to be a problem. I mean, if she brought it to Batman vs.
In a few minutes,
not her movie, mind you, she's going to tear up the Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, that's movies. That's life. If you can handle things in a few minutes, we want to see more, and we're gonna see something. So that Wonder Woman, almost flawless execution.
I totally agree with you on that statement. Changing the subject a little bit, I want to talk about the trailer for Civil War a little bit. I mean, we were talking about Batman vs. Superman, and granted, that A+ on my part. I enjoyed it. Well, let's say A-.
Yeah, I'm about to say A- myself.
Let's give it a A- because there was a few things that I wish they had kind of done a little different. Not going to ruin the movie for me, but there. So let's give it an A- on my part. The trailer for Civil War.
Another techno guy versus a super guy of sorts.
I was excited for Batman vs. Superman. I'm excited for Civil War. Like you read about it. I'd be beside myself because we're gonna see some new characters. Black Panther's coming back, or coming first appearance of him in the movie cinema. The fight between Tony Stark and Captain America
and Winter Soldier. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that looks cool. Shield, bounce whip, shield, yeah.
On the roof.
Yeah,
and then
first time I saw that. How old am I now?
I was really kind of like, okay, I can be excited about them fighting with each other. I can be excited about the Avengers splitting up and becoming a faction. I could be excited. I was really excited about Black Panther. I'm not gonna lie, I like Black Panther.
We're gonna see somewhere. He's gonna fight Winter Soldier solo. We're gonna see something, you know.
And when they showed Spider-Man, and then his eyes responded to his his face, I was like, that's what's been missing. I didn't realize it, but that's what's been fucking missing.
Something that's very unusual about Spider-Man for me is in the Sam Raimi movies and the Mark Webb movies, the mask, the irises, nothing really shifted, which I thought was very effective. Ironically, the funny thing about Spider-Man, which is very impressive, even in the comic books, which I did read, his expression always matched. Yeah, you can sense it.
You can see it.
It always worked. It always worked. Smiling, not smiling, you always kind of knew what he was expressing through the mask.
Right.
So part of me says, as a purist, and so far so good, you shouldn't change it. But if they do it right, bring it on. But so far, just leave it.
Well, doing the close up of Robert Downey Jr. when he has his
same.
When they do. That was ingenious on Jon Favreau's part, because you wouldn't have thought that a camera could be just a close-up of the actor responding like that is...
seeing him, the lights on his face, the camera, this and that, everything,
the readouts, and then they kind of expand a little bit so you could see... You wouldn't think it'd be an actor sitting in the studio, a green screen, looking at the camera like this, face on, would make a big difference, but that really helped, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to do that with the Spider-Man costume. Like, we'll see the Spider-Man kid real close up.
Yeah, for me, I don't think so, and if so, don't do that. Just some things, just leave it.
Yeah.
When they first did the Amazing Spider-Man back in 2012, they went with the perspective, Like when in the original trailers, he jumps and he lands on the wall. You see his reflection.
Right.
At first, they were gonna, and he's climbing. You see his hands hitting the building. They were trying to do that, and I think they took it out real fast because they realized it didn't work because they never really stuck with that, which is a good idea.
I didn't really care for the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
I like the first one. Second one, yeah.
I just can't like it. I just don't know about the. First of all, the lizard was not threatening to me. Like as a bad guy, he looked like a cartoon.
I feel it looks that'll work. It's not a masterpiece. If it was Venom, no, unacceptable. Send a person in a costume.
Right.
But
I mean, he just it didn't sell. And the whole time he didn't mean to hurt anybody. He was on his way to save somebody when he threw cars off the side of the building. I'm like, well, duh.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He wasn't really a bad guy. He just selfish, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny thing. Like Doomsday, one thing I in Doomsday is that he's kind of just our engine. He's out of control, which is like the comic. He's a monster. He's out of control. He's almost Godzilla without, and yeah, like fire breath, smashing stuff. He's a monster. He's out of control. It's not like he wants to kill so much.
That's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Well, I don't know. In the comic book, he did hold his head out, and the bird landed on him, and he crushed it with his hand. So,
yeah, but he's just an engine of destruction. So,
yeah, he's just pure destruction.
But
I don't know. I guess I don't know. Even Spider-Man, the first one, Sam Raimi's. There's one part where you have the most expressive face in the world, Willem Dafoe, covered up in a helmet, and it looks like two dolls are talking on the roof at one point. And it's kind of like,
Well, Sam Raimi, I always liked it. Sam Raimi's very clever. He said that I felt that the audience cannot be afraid of the villain if you can't see his eyes. So naturally, when the Green Goblin, his mask costume shifts, you see his eyes in the mask, which is a very clever touch. And in Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus, he takes off his sunglasses at one point. Venom, his idea was already on point because Venom, the symbiote retracts and you can see Eddie Brock's face.
Right.
Sandman does a weird mask, and the Goblin, the new Goblin mask opens up again. It was a very clever idea, and it really does work, seeing the person's eyes.
right. But there's also a flaw in those movies as far as like, presenting. Because I mean, one time it looked like action figures doing a dialogue, and I'm like, you've got Willem Dafoe, one of the most expressive faces in Hollywood, and you don't see his face really, and you see kind of through the eyes and kind of through the mouth. Why not just have him turn green and show his face? That scene where he's talking to the mirror. Come on.
Yeah, that's flying the comic book. That was in the comic book. It was very impressive. I was impressed. In the original comic book, the Norman Osborn didn't know he was the Goblin, and naturally, when he finds out, he's talking to himself. Now, you could say this is a variation on Macbeth,
right,
that he's out of his mind. He's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Very Shakespearean, very clever. So it's reasonable that sometimes that's what you have to go with. That's what you have to work with. And it's a metal mask with showing the eyes. I think that would have been a lot better than a clown mask because
But if you're gonna cast somebody like Willem Dafoe, you need to see his face.
Yeah. Well, you get your wish in the end that when Spider-Man managed to get the upper hand, and naturally he signals the glider. Yeah, it's me, Spider. You see his face, so you see him. It's not more, but you get your wish per se.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It's just, but I think they did a better job with Dr. Ock, because you could see him. You could, the only thing he did was have arms on his back, and you could see his performance, and that worked better for me as a movie.
You can see his face, and it's a different kind of villain, which is I think Dr. Octopus was amazing. I wouldn't have thought of Alfred Molina, but that was amazing then. And
casting was 100%.
And everyone knows like Venom. Venom could have been even grander if he was the only villain, more screen time. At least they got to look right.
Yeah, I honestly, whatever. Sam Raimi didn't want to do a Venom. He didn't want Venom to be in the movie. So he got shoehorned in. So that's why that part 3 doesn't work on many levels, and that's one of them. I think if they had just focused on Sandman for that movie, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And left out that fucking dancing in the jazz club and him walking down the street with the snapping fingers and the dancing and shit. Cool. I think that was Sam Raimi's attempt at getting fired.
I think that in the second movie they said the idea was to make Peter Parker miserable. The idea focus on which is what a lot of movies do now, focus on the person, not the superhero. And I think they kind of, in the second movie, they show Peter Parker making his bicycle, Peter Parker this, Peter Parker working, Peter Parker haggard. And in the third movie, they kind of play on that.
Relentlessly beating boy down, you know?
Yeah. And in part 3, they kind of, run with it. As for Venom, he kind of had to put it in there. But I think Sandman, you say you didn't care for a little Sandman, a guy that controls sand. We're not in the desert. I'm not worried about it. So.
Yeah, but I mean, he worked for me. It's a part of the movie. It would have been a really good shadow of Doc Ock's character because he wasn't a bad guy. He was he did a bad thing.
Yeah, but that's another thing though, because when Spider-Man was mega successful, and it's still, the fact he's coming back is very popular. With Sandman was almost a thug. He didn't really have any personality per se. So him having an angle kind of made it more sympathetic, more interesting, as opposed to just, he's trying to help his daughter. You can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
But here, they were kind of giving him an angle more than anything else. And that didn't entirely flow for me. Venom wants revenge. That's the oldest, but one of the best angles. And the new Goblin, he wants some payback. That's the best angle. Even Doomsday, he just wants to smash stuff. Well, that's a reasonable angle. But sometimes, low-key, in Avengers, he wants to take over the world. I've never heard that before, but that's an angle. So
I saw a thing with Stan Lee that says, Dr. Doom wasn't a bad guy. He just wanted to rule the world. You want to rule the world? Does that make you a bad guy? I was interesting take on the Dr. Doom character, but okay.
And even then, I heard, I don't think I read, I heard the one where Dr. Doom, what if he does rule the world? He gets bored. And this sucks. This ruling the world is just, it's work, it's boring, it's not as fun as you think it is. So
I can imagine that. I mean,
is the Joker, he really is a head. He just wants to watch it burn. That's a better show.
I'm kind of looking forward to Jared Leto's Joker.
He looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's got the sexiest Harley Quinn possible in Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie is playing Harley Quinn.
Now, hers Harley Quinn. Jackpot. I just hope we see more of the sexy her, because Margot Robbie is so beautiful, and she looks like the Purge. That's just. I'm like, I hope we see more of the good-looking blonde before we see the psycho chick.
I've always liked Harley Quinn as a character, so
I want the hot blonde, not the psycho chick. I don't mind seeing the clown girl as opposed to the Purge. Better yet, watch The Wolf of Wall Street again.
Well, we're at about 40 minutes, dude. It's not bad. It's not bad. You want to call it?
Yeah, let's see what we got.
That's about all.
That's the Moore Show. Hopefully I can sound looks good. Whatever. If we do another one, we'll put it out there. And we'll see what we see. Hope you agree. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.
Check out the Moore Show at buzzsprout.com, and we'll let y'all know how it goes.
I hope it sounds good, looks good. Hope you tune in and we get some subscribers, and Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.